We often try to pinpoint specific traits that equal certain types of production. That's just how we do. We try to categorize everything and break it all down. But sometimes you have to look at things a little more holistically. And to me, flexibility is a good example of a trait that can aid agility, balance, power, and that helps generate yards after contact. I mean, look at him at this point where he gets hit and he has to kick up that leg. See how high that leg is? And where his other leg is? The fact that he's able to land this, stay upright, and push for another yard. It's, you know, this kind of flexibility may not happen or occur any more often than in these extreme circumstances, but it's indicative of his ability to use a variety of skills to generate yards. And the three I mentioned come into play: balance, agility, and power. You don't win a collision with this guy right here, number 99, unless your pads are low. And he knocked him back 2 steps before Auburn gets a push. Here's an example of that precision tool of a flipper. You can see that right here. Watch number 40 come off the line, penetrate, and Johnson uses the stiff arm to work right through it. Don't think that matters? Well, if you look up close, if he doesn't get that hand on the defender's arm first, that defender likely wraps him and drags him down from behind. Maybe he gets a first down. A lot less likely, though. That's the example of the precision tool with the hands. Good example of a press and cut on a gap play or gap style play. You're going to watch him work towards the inside and then cut across that gap. You'll see it from the aerial view a little bit better here. See him begin that exchange point near the hash. He's hugging the hash and he's hugging that inside shoulder of this lineman. That keeps this linebacker at bay in his gap. This linebacker at bay is trying to figure out how to stay here and address this pulling defender. And then look at the jump cut. And you see the depth of which he gets to the line here? See when he begins that cut? He's within about a yard of the back foot of that lineman. And he's able to cut all the way across outside the puller. Good lateral cut there. That's a sharp lateral cut with a good angle. Looks like juice to me. Consistently breaks tackles, can make defenders miss tight to the line of scrimmage. It's not bad. Let's remember though that backs often in the NFL, as they're getting used to their scheme and to the level of play, can think a little too much, and as a result their play can be a little slower. They process just a half beat slower, and when you do that, you don't make these men miss like this. You don't get the advantageous angles. You end up looking like a plotter at first. Jamal Williams is a good example of that. Then the light came on in the Bears game mid-season, and he started to look like the back he was at BYU. Kerryon Johnson's pass protection needs a lot of work. Footwork is one of the biggest drivers here. He often doesn't get set up in a balanced position, so when he does punch, He doesn't punch with power. He doesn't punch in a way that he can sustain position. And when he bounces like this, see how he's sitting back in that chair because he doesn't have his feet under him? Well, a linebacker off the edge is going to be able to drive him backwards and work outside of him. And oftentimes you see Johnson in a situation where he gets one punch and then the defender just goes, oh, slide right off you, hit the quarterback. Now he makes a nice little run here to just save face and get a small gain out of this. But really, when you want to look at his pass protection, you're going to see him now against Minkah Fitzpatrick. See how he's setting up here? He's not setting up in time. He doesn't have his feet really under him. He's going to bring that outside foot backwards. And so now he's opened up the gate too early. He's not in a bounce position. So when he does deliver a strike, well, he's already given 29 a red carpet to the quarterback. And he's able to hit the quarterback during his throw. And you're going to see it in more dramatic relief here. See how he sets up and you see that outside foot taking that step back? And see how his hips are opened to the quarterback here? He's just opened that gate way too early. And he's not in a balanced position either because he's got 1 foot up, 1 foot back. Great leverage advantage for the defensive back here. And that's why he's able to get to the quarterback and strike the ball during the release. What I like about Johnson is that after the catch or once he breaks through a crease, he uses his hands and his shoulders like a power tool. Look at him lower that shoulder into a man. It's precise and it's damaging. Johnson has that graceful power. Kind of a longer stride guy at times. Beautiful lateral cuts. And then he has that power to be able to run through multiple tackles or bounce off multiple hits. A guy that had that kind of feel was Eric Dickerson. Now Johnson doesn't have that kind of speed or size. But nice little stabs there. And he just uses the stiff arm so well. Good pad level. Nice work. There's a lot to like about this back. First thing, his ability to get skinny in a crease. And then his after contact ability. And the fluid quickness and fluid way that he just runs. This is a gap play. Usually you'd think he'd follow 64 into that crease, but he sees his cutback lane in a seal here. Maybe not what you'd recommend on a gap play, but he does a good job of getting skinny in the hole, getting sideways to get away from that defender shooting the gap head on. And then to be able to transition from getting skinny and avoiding a defender to being the aggressor on number 5 and loading up with the forearm and getting the pads down to really drive through that contact. And then as he gets through that, use the stiff arm again to get the shoulders. See that orange hand on the shoulder there? Pull that defender to the side. Throw him on the ground. And then it's out in the open field. This is a beautiful run with power, with agility, with good vision, balance. Kerryon Johnson, that's a man right there.